1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, welcome in. Great to have you with us. Hays Carlyon here. Frank Frangie on vacation this week. He'll be back next week. But Hacker, kind enough to join us again. I'm liking this. I'm digging the chemistry.
Yeah, look, I like it, man.
I think it's gotten to the point where at the line of scrimmage, I can just sort of give you a look, and to run the go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Or if you audible out of one play, I know exactly what you're audibling to. I completely agree. The teamwork we got here, and we haven't even got into serial killer documentaries or wrestling documentaries yet.
It's coming.
Yeah, there's no question, right? Absolutely.
Don't worry about it. We've got JJ as well. JJ, how are you doing in there?
I'm great. I agree. I love the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me a quick Braves. What's going on with the Braves?
We're the only winless team in the major leagues right now.
Wow, is that right?
Incredible.
Yeah, and they play the Dodgers again tonight around 8:30 with Bryce Elder on the mound because one of their starters is going to be out many months. Wow. As well as one of their outfielders out 80 games. So, yeah, things not looking up for the Braves.
It seems like opening day was yesterday, and you blink, and everybody's 6 or 7 games in now.
It really is amazing. And
most of those teams have won some of those games.
JJ, did I see you retweet this where it was a baseball writer put up, like, the Braves' offensive stats? It was, like, the graphic on the scoreboard.
No one was hitting above, like, 188.
How is that possible?
Dude, it's so bad.
They don't have anyone hitting 200?
No. As of last night, I don't think so, no.
Wow.
It's been terrible. They went like 2.5 games without scoring any run. The only run they scored last night was in the first inning off of a ground-out error.
Wow.
It's rough.
Now, look, Major League Baseball didn't give them any favorites starting them out on the West Coast.
No.
But you don't lose 6 in a row to start the year. I mean, the excuses are pretty much over at that point.
Yeah, there is no excuses.
Boy, in tough news in the entertainment world, Val Kilmer passing away last night at the age of 65. That was one, like, that kind of hit me in terms of a generational, like growing up as a kid from the 80s. Real Genius was probably one of the first comedies that I saw. It came out when I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. HBO would play it like every 15 minutes. So it's a great movie, but it's obviously he went on to do, Tombstone and Top Gun and The Doors and Batman Forever and a myriad of other roles. But was that one tough for you?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, Batman Forever got kind of a bad rap, but I enjoyed it. I thought he did a good job there. I'll tell you my favorite Val Kilmer. Now, again, I'm younger than you a little bit, was Willow.
Yeah.
He was Mad Mardigan in Willow, and I loved Willow growing up, and he was one of the main guys in Willow. That's really where I watched Willow before I watched Top Gun. Top Gun came out when I was 3 years old. It took me a while to figure out who Iceman was, which is obviously what he's known for.
Remember when he called Willow Peck?
Yeah.
Peck,
exactly.
Peck.
Yeah, I love Willow, man. Willow was great. The remake was atrocious, and Val Kilmer wasn't in
Willow.
They did a series on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
It lasted one season, and it was so bad that they canceled it, and Val Kilmer had nothing to do with that, thankfully. But yeah, that was a tough one. Only 65 years old, too. Such a shame.
We knew he obviously was very public about his throat cancer and battling that. He did a documentary about his life, and obviously in Top Gun Maverick, they had to incorporate that into the story.
What a scene that was now in retrospect.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, just an unbelievable actor, and it's amazing just how versatile he was to do slapstick comedy like Top Secret. Real Genius isn't slapstick, but he's like the most sarcastic character that you'll ever see on screen. He's fantastic in Real Genius.
I'll tell you a funny character that you might know it, was MacGruber. He was the villain in MacGruber, which was hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was really funny in that movie.
He could do comedy, obviously could do action. Heat, fantastic performance. Obviously, Doc Holliday is probably my favorite Val Kilmer performance in Tombstone. But yeah, very versatile actor. That was sad news. Condolences to his family. We touched on this yesterday, and I want to set the scene here. We got lots to get to on this Frangie Show. Mark Long is going to join us in our next segment. We'll talk a lot of Gators with Mark, but Mark covers the Jaguars as well, so we'll touch on Jaguars towards the end of that segment with Mark. And then at 5:20, D-Rock, our good buddy from ESPN, is going to join us. That will be all Jaguars. We'll get his thoughts on what Liam Cohen said at the owners' meetings and things like that, where he sees the direction of the club going as we get closer to the draft and with free agency in the rearview mirror. So Mark Long at 4:20, D-Rock, Michael Duraco at 520. That should be a lot of fun. But we got into this a little bit yesterday, and I gave it more thought and did a little bit more research in leading up to today. And, Hacker, let's start with I want to talk about the Jaguars' offensive line, but let's go through it, because I think as we go through it by each guy that we believe is right now a starter, let's get just a quick evaluation on where you think that player is in their career. And we're going to start left tackle Walker Little.
Well, you would hope he's ascending because he got a contract extension that's basically a 2-year extension. I know in the writing it's 3. I like Walker Little, but I think it might have been you, actually. You've brought up many times that he's never really been challenged, or he's never won a job, I guess, in training camp. He has been challenged, and he has not won.
And he hasn't won the challenge.
Right. He has never won a job when competing against somebody else.
The only thing Walker Little has ever done in training camp, and to his credit, he did it in every training camp, is ragdoll Kayla Chase in the one-on-ones. Yes. That's the only thing he's ever consistently done, but he's never been able to win a job in training camp.
Look, Walker Little, is he a top 10 left tackle? No. Is he top 20?
Okay.
25. I think that's more in the conversation.
Perfect. And I'm glad that that's how you answered it, because do you think he can be a Pro Bowler?
No.
I don't either. Ezra Cleveland.
I don't know if Ezra Cleveland will be a starter in September.
Okay. I agree. Robert Hainsey.
I mean, they're paying him $7 million a year. Liam Cohen obviously brought him in because of the familiarity with the system. The guy started 34 games in 2 years in Tampa. I think he's a penciled-in starter right now.
Sure, but do you believe that he's got a chance to be a Pro Bowl caliber player here?
No, but I think when people talk about him getting benched, yes, that's true. Talking to people in Tampa, they thought he was a decent player in 22 and 23.
Yeah, and he probably is a decent player. I wouldn't argue that. Let's go Macari. What's your viewpoint on Patrick Macari?
I like him. I mean, the guy's. When you play 275-plus snaps at all 5 positions along the offensive line, you start 17 games for the Baltimore Ravens last year, you got something about you. So I'm higher on Macari than I probably am the other 3 so far.
I like Macari too. And this isn't to rip this unit, but we're going to get to the kind of the thesis of this segment in a second. Anton Harrison.
Probably needs to be the future on the offensive line. Hopefully has the brightest future on the offensive line. I thought was okay last year. I thought he was probably better in 2023 as a rookie, maybe a little sophomore slump, but I'm fine with Anton Harrison being the starting right tackle.
We've seen him for 33 games. Do you think there's a Pro Bowler in there?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
I think there could be.
Okay.
Would I place a wager on it? Probably not, but can I imagine a world where Anton Harrison is a Pro Bowler? Much more than I could Walker Little.
Absolutely, and I would agree with that. So this gets me back to, I kind of think, and I think you may have tweeted this, that I think is a group think. We've sort of just gotten to a point where we've all sort of crystallized on, if Mason Graham is there at 5, that's who the pick will be. Are you feeling that maybe that's not quite maybe where it's going to head?
It is so obvious. If you look at 15 mock drafts, 12 or 13 of them are Mason Graham. There were more Mason Graham to Jacksonville today. I mean, it is Mason Graham like nobody's business here if he's available at 5. And at least in previous regimes here in Jacksonville, when it seems to be that obvious 3 weeks out, that never is the end game. That never seems to actually happen. Whether it's Terrion Arnold, whether it's Brian Branch, whether it's Aiden Hutchinson, Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, how many guys over the last – now, that's all Trent Baalke.
Yeah.
Right? It's a new regime.
It is.
And obviously we know that James Gladstone with the Rams, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, it's easy to connect the dots there. But I've just seen so much Mason Graham, and maybe the Jaguars are pumping out that message and secretly giggling in a back room that they might have other plans on draft night.
And this obviously goes with the caveat of if Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter somehow get to 5, that's the pick. But they probably aren't. And I think in looking at Walker Little's contract, he's got a cap number of 10.9 this year. His cap number is 13.5 next year. You look at, to me, 2 years ago, that would have been, he's definitely starter money. That's not where the league is now. I mean, the cap has exploded so much that I don't think that salary would, particularly in a new administration, would dictate, well, he's definitely the left tackle. I mean, and we just were in that world. Cam Robinson had a much higher salary, and they would openly admit, well, yeah, he's going to be the left tackle. Look at his contract. I think that's dangerous thinking. I think that I don't know that this administration is going to view contracts and playing time as rock solid, is maybe what most this isn't a shot at Balky or Doug Peterson. That's how most teams have operated. But the cap has gone up so much. We're seeing in Atlanta, they probably will trade Kirk Cousins, but they've made it very clear they are comfortable paying him $30-40 million to be the backup. Mm-hmm. The only reason you can do that is because of how much the cap has gone up. Why have the Saints been able to postpone a rebuild? Because the cap keeps exploding, and so it does enable them to kick the can down the road another year and try to stay competitive. Where I'm going with this is the more we get into this draft process, the more that we see the moves the Jaguars have made. I think they've sort of told us that they don't like the tackles as a collective group. Now, maybe they really like Anton, and maybe they're a little lukewarm on Little. And maybe it's vice versa. That would surprise me. But obviously they signed Chuma Agdoba, Fred Johnson, 2 veteran tackles to compete. They're not on huge money deals, but they are guys that have started in this league. As I look at it, I go back to something Tony Baselli told Frank at the Combine, where he asked him about Liam Cohen. And he said, I knew within 30 seconds Liam Cohen was our guy. Mm-hmm. What could Liam Cohen have told him in 30 seconds that would have gotten Baselli on board so quickly? Probably something in regards to your offensive line is basically an expansion unit, and it's got to be completely revamped. Again, that's me. That's me jumping to a conclusion, admittedly. But it is something that sticks in my mind. What did Liam Cohen tell us at his introductory press conference? That when we break the huddle, the first thing the opposing defense sees is our offensive line, and that's got to mean something, and it will mean something. Well, it doesn't mean anything right now. I mean, Walker Little, Ezra Cleveland, Hainsey, Makari, Anton Harrison, I don't think anybody is going to suggest that that's a formidable, wow, that's the strength of the Jaguars.
No, that's not the Hogs.
Correct.
Right.
So I think in looking at it, I think offensive tackle at 5 is way more in play than maybe what we think. Whether that is Will Campbell, the true junior at LSU who started all 38 games on campus, whether that's Armand Membu, the Missouri offensive tackle. But I'm starting to come around more on I will not be surprised in the least if they go tackle at 5. There is nothing beyond it. Field Yates from ESPN did a 2-round mock draft today that I thought was really interesting. And Hacker, the thing I took away from it is once you get beyond the Jaguars' 2nd-round pick, and he had them taking a corner. He had it Mason Graham 5 and then Ole Miss corner Amos in the 2nd round.
Yeah, Trey Amos, yeah.
Beyond the 36th pick, he had 2 tackles being drafted and the rest of the 2nd round, which obviously goes to 64 picks. So it just illustrates, if you really want to help this offensive line, you've got to take a tackle at 5, assuming Will Campbell is there. Now, there's been talk that maybe the Patriots take him or Membu. But I get the sense that Baselli, Cohen, and Gladstone have sort of rallied around, we can't fix it all in one offseason. But we can fix the offensive line, even if that means we have to throw more resources at it to make sure it's right than maybe what conventional wisdom would say we should. Because I think I initially looked at, okay, well, they've got their 2 offensive tackles. Based on what they've done in free agency and based on comments that they've made, I think Walker Little should be nervous on draft night.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I guess the question I'd have for Jaguar fans, when you look at the starting offensive line, as we've laid out, Walker Little, Ezra Cleveland, Robert Hainsey, in theory, Patrick Makari, Anton Harrison, and then you look at Mason Smith, Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Jordan Jefferson on the interior D-line, what group do you feel better about? And if you say, well, I don't really feel great about either one, Well, then let me stop you right there, because every draft analyst that I've had on my show, and every draft analyst probably we've had on this station, dozens and dozens of analysts over the last weeks and months, will tell you over and over and over, this is a much deeper interior D-line draft than it is an offensive line draft. You can get better interior defensive linemen in rounds 2, 3, and 4 than you can offensive linemen. And if that's truly the case, and I'm going to believe them because I've heard it time and time again in the last few weeks and months, then what would make sense to me is if you still have issues, in your opinion, on both lines of scrimmage, you go the O-line route first with Will Campbell or Membu because there's a deeper fall. And at 36, can you get a Kenneth Grant from Michigan? There's a Walter Nolan from Ole Miss. Somebody along those lines. Does somebody like that fall? I'll tell you this. If we're sitting there on Friday night, and I don't think Kenneth Grant's going to fall to 36, but play along with me here. Somebody like that. If you tell me Will Campbell or Kenneth Grant, Will Campbell or Walter Nolan, Will Campbell or whomever, Joshua Farmer.
Harmon kid.
Harmon from Oregon.
Yeah.
Will Campbell and Derek Harmon. I'm going to be doing backflips, which would be amazing to watch, and you need to stream that if I try. But I'm going to attempt to do a backflip if they end up with a premier offensive lineman at 5 and a decent defensive lineman at 36. Because if you take Mason Graham, that's fine. You're not going to get that caliber of offensive lineman at 36. O-line is better at the top, not as deep. It is a much deeper defensive line class.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Those are great points. When we come back on the Frangie Show, Mark Long from the Associated Press is going to join us. We'll talk a little bit of Jaguars, but primarily this Florida basketball team that is actually on its way right now to San Antonio for the Final Four. You're listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
There's an energy and drama to play-by-play sports.
This crowd, a big factor.
You never know what's going to happen.
Wow!
Feel the energy on 1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Radio.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit NIKCOsports.com.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnik Chevrolet is proud to be a 7-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award, earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness. All part of Nimnik's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit NimnikChevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnik has been the place customers keep coming back to. They treat you right. Where do you go? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnik. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Frank Frangie here for South State Bank. South State has helped our businesses and charity grow and thrive. Whether you're expanding your operations, managing cash flow, or planning for the future, South State Bank offers forward-thinking, tailored solutions to meet your unique business needs. With expert guidance and best-in-class service, South State is here to help you move your business forward. Visit southstatebank.com or stop by your local branch today. Let South State become your partner in taking your business to the next level. That's South State Bank, member FDIC.
Slacker plumbing.
Yeah, hey, listen, I need a plumber over here right now.
Yeah, well, we don't have any openings for about 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yep.
I was just changing the shower head and the water line broke and it's flying everywhere.
All right, 1 week.
What if I throw you an extra $100 to come now?
What's the address?
It's 205.
Huh? I I guess he changed his mind.
If you've got a leak that can't wait a week, call Roland Reese Plumbing and fix your plumbing problems fast. PlumbingJacksonville.com.
When you want to be heard, send your opinion to the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
Thank you for believing in me when the bosses didn't give me a chance.
641-1010. No texting and driving. Get your thoughts heard on 1010XL.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark tonight at 7:05. Its charity begins at home featuring Connect Church. Then it's Thirsty Thursday and fireworks Friday and Saturday. Baseball all week and weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable family fun.
Looking for an engagement ring in Jacksonville? Here's a pop quiz. Which Jacksonville jeweler cuts out the middleman and guarantees the lowest price on any diamond?
I'm thinking it's...
No, it's Beard's Diamonds. Question 2. Which jeweler in the town center has thousands of designer engagement rings and a multi-million-dollar diamond inventory?
I'm going to say...
No, it's Beard's Diamonds. Question 3. Which jeweler in Jacksonville offers an unbiased diamond education, a lifetime upgrade, and free maintenance for life?
How about
Dude, you should have learned by now it's Beard's Diamonds. Final question. Which jewelry store in Jacksonville hasn't been sold a few times and is currently not owned by a national conglomerate?
Beard's Diamonds?
Ding, ding, ding. Now you're getting it. Beard's Diamonds guarantees a better selection, an unbeatable price, superior warranties with no corporate rule books, no commission salespeople, and no chain store atmosphere. Beard's Diamonds, Jacksonville's jeweler. St. John's Town Center.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island, or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just the job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit cssoutdoor.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
What is this? It kind of sounds like AC/DC. Yeah. What song is this?
What's Next to the Moon?
Ah, okay. That's not familiar with that one.
I was going to guess that. That was on my list.
Yeah? Was that on your list?
Very
Okay.
close to saying that.
I'll have to add that one to my my Spotify. But great stuff. Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Hacker is here. JJ is here. I am Hays Carlyon. Frank's on vacation. He'll be back next week. We are pleased to be joined with our good buddy Mark Long of the Associated Press. Mark does an outstanding job covering the Gators and the Jaguars for us. So we're going to hit some Gators basketball, maybe a touch of Gators football, and then we'll get Mark's thoughts on this Jaguars offseason as well. So lots to cover. Mark, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys? You guys need one more H on the show, and then you could be the Triple H.
Oh, I like that.
I like
Hayes,
that.
Hacker, and call me Hero, and we got Hayes, Hacker, and Hero segment.
Yeah,
Here we go.
that Hero. Yeah, that might happen. But I do appreciate the suggestion. We could call Hack the cerebral assassin.
That's right.
In honor of Triple H.
Yes.
How's everything going in Gainesville? The basketball team has enjoyed a send off. They're heading to San Antonio. What's the vibe been like down there with this team? I mean, they weren't preseason top 20, and here they are 2 wins away from the national championship.
Yeah, I'll say this. The city, the fan base has embraced this team as much, or maybe right next to the 07 team, which was coming back. They returned everybody, their superstars, their top 5, preseason number 1. They rolled through everything and number 1 overall seed, right? They've gotten the same similar response here in Gainesville the last few months. There is a love for this team. And I'll tell you, the reason is it's not so much that they're because of the personalities. I think there are some good personalities, but it's because of the brand of basketball. This is an exciting brand of basketball that's got staying power. That's got longevity. This is not your Mike White team. This is fun basketball. It's fun to watch. It's fun to go, just be part of. And I don't think that's going to change. It's not going to change next year. It's not going to change without Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin and Will Richard. This is who Todd Golden is. And as long as he's in Gainesville, knock on wood, you hope for, the next 20 years, this is what Florida basketball is going to be. And it's only going to be exciting. And that's why the stadium sells out. I don't even remember this many sellouts under Donovan. I know there were, but you just don't remember it. I know it's recency bias, but there is a vibe about this team and excitement about this team.
Mark Long of the Associated Press with us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Mark, I did not think we'd be talking to you about Gator basketball on Saturday night, down 9 with 3 minutes to go, and then Thomas Houck and Walter Clayton happen. If you rewind the clock back 2 games prior, UConn, they're trailing that game at the last media timeout. Mark, it hasn't necessarily been pretty, but it doesn't matter. They are here in the Final Four. What does it say about this Gator basketball team that they were trailing the back-to-back defending champions and, quite frankly, getting outplayed by Texas Tech, but yet found a way to win both of those games?
Yeah, heck, it's kind of who they are. It's their DNA at this point, because it's not just the NCAA tournament. We can go back to the game they stole at South Carolina, right? Trail the entire game and end up winning that thing. They're down. I think they were down almost 9 points, maybe even double digits at Arkansas. End up blowing them out by the end. Not at Arkansas, LSU. At LSU, Georgia down 26, take the lead with 1:08 to play and almost pulled off that stunner. This is kind of who they are. They are a second half team. They're second in the country in second half point differential, scoring margin. And so that's kind of who they are. And that says a lot about their talent, says a lot about their depth, and it says a lot about their coaching prowess, right? They're really, really good in all 3 areas, and that's what gives them a chance. But they have something, and it's beyond Walter Clayton Jr. I get it. He's fantastic. I think he's the best player in school history. Maybe you might be able to sell me on Vernon Maxwell, but what Walter Clayton's doing, getting this team to the Final Four, literally almost on his back, to me is better than anything that Vernon Maxwell did, and he was fantastic in his 3 years taking the Gators to the NCAA tournament. But I think Walter Clayton's a better all-around player, college player than anything we've seen at the University of Florida. And what he's doing is phenomenal, but it goes beyond that. It's just belief. They have a lot of maturity. They don't point fingers. They have a lot of unselfishness. And it really shows in crunch time. I think I wrote it this week. I wrote that, these Gators bite, right? They bite, and they really bite when they feel threatened. And that's what it is. What we've seen is when they feel threatened, when they feel like backs against the wall, they got this ability to rise up and play better. And you'd love to bottle that and be able to unleash it in the first opening 5 or 10 minutes of a game. I think that's what's missing, but that's also what Florida fans should give them a lot of hope that this team can win a national championship. Is they haven't played their best basketball. They haven't really played a complete game in a fairly long time. Maybe Ole Miss, but certainly you go back to the Auburn and Alabama road games, those wins. But like in the tournament, in the postseason, it hasn't really been a start to finish thumping like this team is capable of.
I think a big X factor Saturday night in the Auburn game is Alex Condon. To your point, I think Condon's been sort of quiet. Obviously, he had the ankle re-injury, but was able to come back from it. Where do you think Alex Condon is from a health standpoint, and what are your expectations for Alex Condon for hopefully 2 games, but certainly starting with Saturday's game against Auburn?
Yeah, no doubt. He's one of the X factors. I think the other one's Will Richard. Those 2 guys have been fairly quiet, and they're both capable of, 20 to 30-point games. Both of them great rebounders. Both of them very good passing the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them were to flirt with a triple-double. That's how quiet they've been and how explosive they can be. And then you get to this point and you start wondering, what will Auburn do? What will Auburn do differently? I think Condon had a great game against Auburn last time, was really offensively. Him and Thomas Houck were a handful for Janai Broome, and I would expect they will be again. But I don't think Florida can win a national championship if Condon and Richard continue on the pace that they're doing. I just think at some point that's got to catch up to you. It's got to be it can't be a 1 guy or 2 guy show at this point. It needs to be 5, 6, 7 deep. Their depth is incredible. Their depth is, what got them here. And it's time that it really showed up and showed out in a game. And if it does, I think Auburn and or Duke and or Houston would be in a lot of trouble if Florida really showed up, 7 deep in a tournament game.
Couple of more from Mark Long of the AP. Mark, the comebacks are fun. They're memorable. But this is a different animal on Saturday night. This is an Auburn team that I don't know if you can be more motivated to play in a Final Four game, but Auburn probably will be because Florida went into their home gym and beat them in early February. So Florida's got to play their best game. And my thought is this, man, and you alluded to it. If Florida plays like they did in Nashville in the SEC tournament, they can win the national championship. But if Florida plays like they did against UConn and Texas Tech, eventually you're not going to have a miraculous comeback. And Auburn is clearly better than UConn and Texas Tech. So to me, this is far more about Florida than even Auburn, because I think Florida is actually a bad matchup for Auburn. But how does Florida come out? If they come out like they did in Nashville, goodness gracious, we could have a lot of fun here locally. If they come out flat, I don't think they're going to have a chance to get off the mat against this Auburn team.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Absolutely. I would never count this team out. That's kind of the thing that I've learned from them is they are never to be counted out, this Gator team. But what I would say is, Auburn's a little bit different. Broome was banged up a little bit going into that game. Pettiford's come on of late and really become a second dynamic scorer for them. Baker Mazzara, Denver Jones. They've got some X factors as well. But it all comes down to me is who's going to win that paint. Is it, can the Gators slow down Janai Broome enough? Are they going to be able to do it without doubling him? If they double him, he's the best passing big man in the country, and Auburn's got a ton of shooters. So that's a little bit of a recipe for disaster. To me, I think the Gators want to run it. I would think that if this gets into a wide open, up and down the floor shootout, which is what it was in Auburn, 90-81, I think was the final, and it really wasn't that close. But it was a big time running game for the Gators. If it gets into that, advantage Gators. Auburn, by the way, the only team in the country to win games scoring in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s this season. I think Auburn wants it in the 50s and 60s. I would think Auburn wants this thing to be a slow it down, half court, banging it inside, and take your chances kind of game, low scoring, and see if, maybe they can pull one out in the 50s or 60s. I don't think it'll be there. I think it's much more likely to be in the 80s, maybe in the 90s. But I think if you're Bruce Pearl, that's where you want this game.
Mark, let's talk a little bit about Gators football. Obviously, you're incredibly close with that program. Give us a thought on DJ Lagway, where you kind of see, his progress or his health. Kind of give us an update of your opinion with that. And then are there any players that have kind of caught a buzz in spring practice with their play?
Yeah, Hays, I'm going to be honest. DJ Lagway went down, and I haven't been to practice since. Once they ruled out DJ Lagway for the spring, and he's not going to throw. He's standing behind the offense, going through the motions, calling in some plays, doing some of that stuff, but he's not throwing. There's just not a lot for me to go over there. Not a lot of interest, especially with basketball doing what it's doing. I'm paying attention. I go over there and I talk to Billy Napier, so I get where they're at. They've had a lot of injuries in the secondary, so a lot of young guys have shown up and shown out a little bit. Going back to Lagway, he shut down for spring, and the shoulder is an issue. I called it fishy on the 10-10 there. What was that, a month ago?
Yeah, that didn't get any reaction.
No reaction at all. And so I'm a little hesitant. JJ is going to kill me whatever I say. He'll crush it. He'll clip it and put it on social, and I'll get crushed again. But there is cause for concern regarding DJ Lagway. And anybody who doesn't see that, and anybody who's listening to Billy Napier and believing what they hear, I got some swamp land to sell them. Your quarterback is not throwing in spring practice in a developmental period where he's a freshman. This isn't a fifth-year senior we're talking about coming back for one more year. This is a guy who barely started half the season last year and is in a complete developmental, needs reps, needs time, needs all of that, and he's not getting it. He has a shoulder injury. It's enough of a concern that they're not playing him into critical off-season developmental time. That should raise a big red flag for Gator Nation. I have been told that at some point he is going to have or needs to have shoulder surgery. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I haven't seen an MRI, an X-ray, or anything, but that's what I've been told, that either he has it this year or he has it next year. They don't want him. He doesn't want to have it this year. Nobody wants him to have it this year. But, there's always that concern. It might even be a 2% chance, but it's a chance. I think best case scenario is he heals up, he plays this season, and then he has shoulder surgery like the day after the season ends. Maybe it ends in the CFP, and he has shoulder shortly thereafter to repair what I believe is a high school injury that just has not healed the way it's supposed to heal, or the way they had hoped it would heal. And he played through it last year, played through pain, all kinds of good things. Like everything we love about DJ Lagway, this tells you a little bit more about him. He played through this very painful injury, gutted it out. He's fantastic. You and I love him, Hays. I'm sure Hacker does too. He's everything for this program, and they're doing right by him by not playing him right now. And fingers crossed that he heals up and he's better and able to play through this thing this fall. But Florida Nation, Gator Nation should be concerned. But I get why the coaching staff and everybody's kind of downplaying it, because you don't want to raise the big red flags or raise alarms, sound off the alarm bells. You want it to be kind of behind the scenes, low key. Let's see how this thing plays out. But I just think everybody should be worried about where this kid goes in the next 3 months in terms of his health.
That's interesting. And look, the success of the basketball team, right? The football team has been on the back burner, so it's not the main headline, the DJ Lagway situation. And Billy Napier in and of itself, look, he's back for year 4, but let's not sugarcoat this, Mark. It's going to be the same situation if they start, 2-3 or 3-4, that people are going to want him out. Gator fans aren't going to care about LSU and Ole Miss last year. So another huge, huge year for Billy Napier with a schedule that is essentially the exact same as what it was a year ago.
Yeah, brutal schedule, no doubt, but that's life in the SEC now. Here's what I would say about Napier. Napier did not do what some people in the facility thought he was going to do in terms of addressing defensive coordinator, hiring an offensive coordinator. Now, it might all work out. It might work out swimmingly for Billy Napier, what he did on the offense and defense in terms of keeping the play calling to himself and retaining Ron Roberts and kind of rolling with Ron Roberts as a DC. That might work out. what I would say is that's a little bit of a gamble. And when the powers that be were looking for, and I say that not meaning AD Scott Strickland, I mean like some of the high-paying boosters, some of the guys who have really got their fingerprints in this program and their wallets are back in this program. When it didn't go like they thought it was going to go in the off season, somebody's going to be held accountable if it doesn't work out. Now, again, it might work out. I know this. All Billy Napier has done, and I said it and I'll say it again and again and again, is he's painted a bigger target on his back in terms of doing it his way and not really taking any outside input and giving it much credence. Again, it might work out great, and they might end up in the CFP, and Billy Napier will be here for the next 10 years. That's all in a real possibility. And if Lagway's healthy, I think it's a really good possibility in 2025. However, with that said, if it doesn't, there's really only one person to point the finger at.
Mark, I really appreciate your time. I want to just ask you one quick Jaguars thought. As we are a couple weeks out now from the draft, where do you think it's going for the Jaguars at pick number 5?
I go back and forth. A month ago I was convinced they needed to go receiver. Now I'm convinced they need to go defensive tackle. Or then I switched sides. I was convinced defensive. Now I think it's in play. Somebody might fall to them. I don't know if it's going to be Travis Hunter. I don't know if it's going to be Abdul Carter. But, the tea leaves, something's going to happen. Either one of those quarterbacks is going to fall, and there might be a trade up, and that would be beneficial for them. That's probably, I think, what they would love to do is trade out of that pick and get an extra second-round pick or future one, whatever it is. Here's the thing about this whole thing. This is a rebuild without calling it a rebuild. Nobody will call it a rebuild. But when you look at what they've done in terms of cutting aging players, cutting high-priced veterans, and then you look what they did in free agency in terms of signing 9 guys with only 4 of them really probably being plug-and-play starters, all of them on short-term contracts. These are stopgap. We're going to replace them through the draft type guys. Everything they're doing says rebuild. Now, it might be a short-term rebuild because they feel like they got some pieces in place, but this is not kind of what we've seen in the past. It's a little bit different approach, and we'll see how it plays out. But obviously, draft capital is everything to them, and I would think in an ideal world they're able to trade down.
Yeah, very interesting. Great insights. We always appreciate it. Mark Long from the Associated Press. Mark, thanks so much. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, take care, Hays. Thanks,
right.
Packer.
Thanks, Mark. Going with what Mark said with the Jaguars there, I completely agree with him. I didn't understand the narrative that people said it was more of a retooling than a rebuild. You don't retool when you lose 18 out of 23, which is what the Jaguars have done. You can blame that on injuries, but every team has injuries. At the end of the day, the last 23 times this team has played a regular season football game, they lost 18 of those 23. And why people thought all they needed to do was retool, well, obviously that's not what this is. This is much, much more of a rebuild.
Yeah, without a doubt. When we come back on the Frangie Show, a lot of topics I want to get to. Just kind of quick here. We're going to do a little 2-minute drill, but you're listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL, 92.5 FM. NFL quarterbacks coming up. We'll get Hacker's thoughts on the Magic, maybe an early Masters thought. So a lot of stuff coming up. Thank you for listening to 1010XL.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
There he is. Dan Hickett. Joe Hollywood. Mr. Big Shot. Jeff Prosser.
I'm a teacher. All I need are minds for molding.
They are The Drill. Mornings on 1010XL.
Do we get any sort of souvenir?
I'm Julie Harrell. I grew up here in Jacksonville and have seen our city grow as well as the number of car crashes. If you need help after a crash, choose a law firm with an actual office here. Lawyers you can meet with face-to-face and who specialize in personal injury. At Harrell & Harrell, we've been here for nearly 40 years, developing relationships with local doctors, law enforcement, helping people just like you. If you've been injured in a crash, call Harrell & Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services. Call 904-862-6769.
Good morning, Doctor.
Doctor?
Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Your chance to play in the Masters is coming.
Let the big dog eat.
Okay. With 1010XL's You Pick'em contest.
Win $1,000 of jewelry from Beard's Diamonds. Teed up by Pella Windows and Doors. Go to 1010XL.com now.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com, and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
To get this thing unwrapped here.
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, man. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. John's County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Daily Stash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, you know, like me. I'm sure there's a Daily Stash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course.
Oven roasted beef, monster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
That's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Daily Stash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Daily Stash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
Ackerman Cancer Center, celebrating 10 years of excellence in cancer screening, diagnosis, and treatment. Always accepting new patients and 99% of all insurances. Call now to schedule a new consultation within 48 hours. Learn more at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. We've got Hacker. We've got JJ. I'm Hays Carlyon. Frank will join us again next week. He is on vacation, on his way to San Antonio at some point. That'll be a lot of fun to hear how it went. Frangie at the Final Four.
Hopefully he has more success out there than his Pirates have had at Steinbrenner Field in Tampa.
And hopefully his first show back is Tuesday.
Yes.
Because that means it will be a good Saturday night for the Gators.
He did get to see Paul Skeens win today, though.
He did.
Oh, that's good.
He did. Yeah, the Pirates salvaged the last game of that set. By the way, Steinbrenner Field's always cool because it's right across from Raymond James Stadium. It's where the Rays are playing because obviously the Trop got messed up in that hurricane. They've done a good job with that. Like, watching that on TV, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a spring training minor league park, but they have spruced it up a little bit. It looks pretty good on television, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you make of Mark's comments on DJ Lagway?
I think that when our station social media handle puts that out there, that'll get a little bit of reaction. I mean, look, I'm going to take Mark along at what he says. And he says he was told that DJ Lagway is going to need surgery on the shoulder at some point. That's a fascinating statement. Because, again, I don't think Mark would put that out there unless he felt pretty good about who told him that. And I believe he also, not to put words in his mouth, but I believe the quote was, if I was a Gator fan or a member of Gator Nation, I would be worried. Which, again, I think will resonate. And at the end of the day, Mark is right. I mean, it's your starting quarterback of your football team in Gainesville that is not throwing in spring practice. No one's really talking much about it because the Florida Gator basketball team's in the Final Four, and that's all we're talking about with good reason. But if the Gator basketball team was not playing right now, this would be a humongous story. And I think that the more information that comes out, the deeper we get into this, that'll be really, really interesting to follow.
Yeah, without a doubt. I wanted to get a couple quick thoughts from you. Let's start with the Magic. Give us a State of the Union on where the Orlando Magic are. I know you're a diehard.
Painfully disappointing season. They're 37-40. We never got to see their full team. Banchero got hurt in Game 6, missed 3 months. Franz Wagner got hurt right before Banchero came back. He missed 2 months. Jalen Suggs has missed like 50 games. Mo Wagner tore his ACL. I mean, it sounds like I'm making excuses, and maybe I am, but they have been decimated with injury. Banchero and Franz Wagner are back. Suggs and Mo Wagner are not coming back, and the Magic are what they are without a real point guard. No one's talking about Banchero because he's on a 37-40 team, but since the All-Star break, he's been a top 5 player in the league. I think he's had like 10 or 11 consecutive games of 20-plus points. I mean, the guy's an absolute stud. They're in the play-in tournament. They're going to be the 7 or 8 seed more than likely. And if they win, they'll get Cleveland or Boston in round 1 and probably lose in 5. And then the clock will start for Weltman, the GM, and for Jamal Mosley, the head coach. They have one summer to figure out how to get some shooting in there. And if they don't find shooters, and if they struggle mid-season, both guys will probably be gone. Because at some point, you got to start worrying about Wagner and Banchero getting ticked and saying, what are we doing? Because right now, it's essentially them two and very little else on that roster when Jalen Suggs is out.
Would Walter Clayton Jr. maybe be a good fit in Orlando?
That would be a phenomenal fit. And Orlando has 2 first-round picks. They have Denver's first-round pick. So if the NBA draft were held today, Orlando, I believe, is picking 15 and 25. And 25 would probably be in the range of a Walter Clayton Jr. Don't talk dirty to me like that, Hays. I don't want to imagine a world where Walter Clayton Jr. ends up with Banchero and Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs. That gets me all sorts of excited inside, if you know what I mean. But yes, Walter Clayton would be a phenomenal fit in Orlando.
That'd be very interesting. In terms of the NFL, what do you make of the quarterbacks? Aaron Rodgers, where do you think he's going to play?
You see the rumor about him that
he
might
not play.
Well, but he's secretly signed with Pittsburgh is another one, and he's going to announce it on the Pat McAfee show, and McAfee's like in Pittsburgh next week.
Oh, wow.
And again, I don't know. That's just something that I heard, which I can't imagine Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, that historic organization, would go along with that. Having said that, what else is Pittsburgh going to do at this
desperate
point?
Times call for desperate measures.
They say, Aaron, if you want to announce it on the Pat McAfee show, more power to you. I just can't imagine a world where Aaron Rodgers is in a Pittsburgh Steeler uniform. That would just be bizarre to me. But where else is there a landing spot for him? Cleveland? I guess. I mean, if Cleveland doesn't go Shedeur Sanders, they better get Kirk Cousins. Otherwise, Kenny Pickett is the guy. But back to Rodgers, he's kind of running out of options. I think it's probably Pittsburgh at this point, or he's not going to play in 2025.
Yeah, I would agree. The Masters is a week away. You got an early thought on Scotty or Rory or maybe one of these live guys coming in and spoiling the party?
Keep me entertained. That's always my thought when a golf tournament. I mean, I'm not the biggest diehard golf guy around. I certainly watch the 4 majors, love the players here locally. I just want to be entertained on Sunday. I want there to be a couple of guys battling for the lead. I thought Tiger Woods had the greatest April Fool's prank of all time that people bought. Some people actually bought it when he goes on X and says his Achilles is healed. He'll see you at Augusta. And people are like, holy moly, this is amazing. And then Tiger came back and said April Fool's. But, no, I mean, Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy are the 2 stories, and hopefully those guys are competing on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. It's hard to believe a week from tomorrow morning will be the ceremonial start with Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player. And that's always a ton of fun. And then what a spectacular event. It is just majestic, Augusta National and a lot of great storylines. Lee Smith is going to be in here tomorrow. I think he's actually joining us over the phone, but the executive director of the Players Championship. So we'll get his thoughts on the Masters going in. But, Scheffler is starting to pick up. Rory's had an incredible start to his season, obviously winning the Players Championship. But he's got a couple victories this year. And then, boy, those live guys, you just never know. It's just hard to have a good feel for where their games kind of are because we don't, no one really pays attention to their results. And so, they've got a lot of guys on that tour that have had success at the Masters, but we'll see. It should be a lot of fun. When we get back, we're going to get back to the Jaguars. A lot of things that I want to get into with Hacker as we sort of start to break down this roster. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with The Frangie Show. From the Harold and Harold studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Feel the roar of the Jaguars.
It's Duval right now, man. DTWD, Duval till we die.
On the home of the Jaguars, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
All right, it's Baloo. Let's get real for a minute. Losing weight isn't exactly easy, especially when your life involves being surrounded by good food at every event imaginable. Believe me, I get it. But thanks to Awaken 180, I'm already down 10 pounds, feeling sharper, more energized, and never hungry. This isn't some juice diet or starving yourself nonsense. I'm eating food that tastes great, even when I'm out on the road. Here's the beauty. Awaken 180 gives you the game plan to handle real-life situations. I've been hitting plenty of events lately, temptation everywhere, and I've managed to stay on track effortlessly. That's huge. 10 pounds down, energy way up, hunger totally controlled. So if you're tired of carrying around extra weight, tired of diets that don't work, it's time to check out Awaken 180. Take it from me, Hacker, Dempsey, Hayes, basically everyone. It's easy. It works and it's real. Do what we did and choose the solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and there's so many cool products that are on the line at Cycles of Jacksonville. Showroom is Atlantic and Regency, and we're talking, Greg, you've got from any level of price point, the experienced rider to the inexperienced on-road, off-road.
We've got it. We've got ATVs, we've got motorcycles, we've got scooters, we even have the new Honda boats. We've got something for everyone.
Don't forget about the boat line from Honda. It's all right there, waiting for you. Atlantic and Regency or Cycles of Jacksonville's Facebook page.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
When persistent plumbing problems leave you feeling flushed, don't panic. Call Roland Reich. They quote all pricing in advance, so your only surprise is how quickly they'll solve your issue. Roland Reich Plumbing. PlumbingJacksonville.com.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at stanleypoolsfl.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Hello, sports fans. Hicken here. Let's talk skin. Iron Beach's Dermatology are reminding you to wear your sunscreen. If you're an active parent hanging at the fields, in your boat to fish, or like to chill at the sandbar, wear sunscreen. But if you're the one that decided for years it's not cool, guess what? Cancer isn't cool either. So when grabbing the clubs for your tea time, gassing up the boat, or grabbing the chairs for your kids' games, make sure you bring the screen. Any concerns now? Give Beaches Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Attention Florida homeowners, for 1 month only. Save big with Renewal by Anderson. Get $300 off every window and $825 off all patio doors. Plus, call now and ask about our brand new Ensemble entry door system. But hurry, this limited time offer won't last. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com today to schedule your free design consultation. That's bestwindowsflorida.com. Renewal by Anderson, your trusted window and door experts. Superior products, exceptional service. License number CGC 1527613.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit nikcosports.com.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. Lots of local action has been happening in the baseball world, starting off with the Jumbo Shrimp, who won their home opener at VyStar Ballpark 10-5 against the Worcester Red Sox last night. The Shrimp are off to a hot start as they won their last 3 in a row to start the season off 3-1. Florida Gators beat UNF 8-4 last night in a local midweek matchup. Some tough news for the Gators, though, as they lost second baseman Cade Curdlin to a shoulder injury that will require surgery. Curdlin's hit 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, and is batting .316 in 14 games for the Gators this season. Florida State came back from a 5-run first inning from the Jacksonville Dolphins last night, using 7 pitchers in their 11-10 win, and their first game back after a 7-game road trip. It's 84 degrees at 5:03. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank is on vacation this week, but we've got Hacker in with us. JJ LaSelva is here. I'm Hays Carlyon. And Michael Duraco, D-Rock's going to join us in our next segment to talk all things Jaguars. But, Hacker, there was something the Mike Sando of The Athletic wrote today that I thought was really interesting. It was sort of a league confidential looking at all 32 teams, what they did in free agency, and having executives around the league comment on the moves that each team made. It's really interesting. So I'll give you the Jaguars capsule here. Sando does an opening kind of paragraph and says the Jaguars signed 4 outside free agents to 3-year deals worth $6.5 million to $12.5 million annually, plus 4 others to 2-year deals worth less. The deals for guard Patrick McCarry and Robert Hainsey reflect an effort to stabilize the offensive line. So this is where it gets interesting because the execs start weighing in. The first executive says, quote, what Jacksonville did was get a couple tough, smart guys on the line whose talent is limited, but they are the types of guys that they need. The capsule then goes to talk about, Hainsey's connection with Liam Cohen in Tampa Bay. The next executive weighs in and says they signed okay players to good-sized deals, and I do not believe in free agency like that. If you are going to do that, go the Chargers route, sit and wait, and go for 1-year contracts. Then the third executive says you were always going to overpay in free agency, but they did not commit gross overpays. You saw them go right to the second tier of the offensive line market and say, we can get this guy for $10 to $12 million a year instead of this other guy for $16 million. In terms of De'Ami Brown, Sando labels that a potential gross overpay with the Jaguars' $10 million deal for the not unproven, but a player that's yet to really fully blossom in this league, but certainly had a nice postseason. And this executive says everybody liked De'Ami at the $6-7 million number, but once Tutu Atwell got $10 million, the speed guys got overpaid. I don't know if Parker Washington is better than Christian Kirk, and I know Brenton Strange is not better than Evan Ingram in the passing game. So you're talking about Gabe Davis, De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, and Brian Thomas, who is going to get a lot of attention this year. What, any reaction to any of that?
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with a lot of that, but I think we knew a lot of that. They did not make the big splashes. They wanted to raise the floor of the roster. And in fact, we had John Ozier on the Frangie Show here on Monday, the Ozone, and he told Hays, you and I, that James Gladstone and he were going to do that interview, and they aired it earlier today on the Jaguar social media platforms. And again, Gladstone talked about raising the floor of the roster. That's been their narrative the entire offseason. But what I thought was interesting is now he's talking about the ceiling when it comes to the draft. So the floor of the roster needed to be raised in free agency. The ceiling needs to be raised in the draft. And look, Sando's going to write that, and he's going to do it for all 32 teams, and I commend him. That's a lot of work. But again, this is not a finished product. Talk to me in 3 weeks after the Jaguars have 10 draft picks overall, 6 in the top 126, including that number 5 overall selection. The conversation at that point could be a lot different. But for the here and now, yeah, Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry were second-level free agent offensive linemen. De'Ami Brown, I just guess I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on that one. I'm high on De'Ami Brown. I saw enough of him in the playoffs where I was intrigued. And, $10 million for 1 year, $8 million for 1 year, I don't really care. I mean, whatever. The Jaguars are still $30+ million under the cap. Who cares? If he comes in here and catches 50 or 60 balls, no one's going to matter about the $2 million or whatever. But no, I think those executives are right. They did not make splashes. They got solid guys that make the roster, at least the bottom tier, better. We'll see what they do towards the top of the roster in the draft.
We've talked a lot about the offense, but I want to get your thoughts on the defense because it seems like the chatter and the buzz is such that this defense maybe has more talent than what was shown last year, that it was a really tough year for Ryan Nielsen and his 1 year as coordinator. Where do you kind of assess the Jaguars' defensive talent? Do you think they're a ways away, or do you think it could be that they've got pretty good players, but unfortunately they just had a really tough year with a new defensive coordinator last year?
That's my hope, because of the 10 free agents, only 2 were on the defensive side, and that's Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray. So it's going to be a lot of the same defensive guys. Of the 10 draft picks, you got to figure at least half of them will probably be on the defensive side of the ball. But no, the hope is that the problem was Ryan Nielsen. Because if the problem was the players, well, the Jaguars haven't done much to remedy that problem. But if you look at what James Gladstone and Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli have done this offseason, their actions lead you to believe that they think Ryan Nielsen and that defensive staff was the problem, because they prioritized free agency on the offensive side of the ball, not as much defensively. Again, we'll see what happens in the draft. But no, my hope is and my expectation is that some of those players will perform better with Anthony Campanile than they did with Ryan Nielsen. Ryan Nielsen, to me, look, I hate to begrudge the guy. He seemed like a really nice guy, had a fabulous mustache, all right, one of the best mustaches you'll ever see. He was awful. I mean, just horrible. Whatever adjective, verbiage you want to use. So what else can I say that's more derogatory than that? He was a bad defensive coordinator. It just did not work out here for whatever reason. One of the worst coordinator hires this franchise has ever made, which is saying something.
Without a doubt. And when Joe Flacco and Alec Pierce come to town and shred you for basically 200 yards, and that, amazingly, was a win.
Yeah. They ran the same play.
Right.
They ran the same play and scored 2 65-yard touchdowns.
Yeah. I remember on the second one, Nielsen was shown on camera, and he had his head down and his hands on his knees.
Yeah.
And I was like, boy, this is going to be a really long season.
Oh, my gosh.
And it was. I look at defensively, I like the talent. I mean, I think Trayvon Walker is an underrated player. I think where he got selected overshadows what's been a really good start to his NFL career. Josh Hines-Allen, I think, is he's either a star or he's a borderline star. I think in terms of Foye Oluokun now going back to his natural position, he's a tackling machine, very smart player, great leader. I like Tyson Campbell when he's healthy. And so I feel like they've got some pieces. One guy that I think is a big X factor is Devin Lloyd. Where do you kind of assess where Devin is at this stage of his career?
You talk to people in Green Bay, and they point out Quay Walker and Edge Cooper, two linebackers that were considered to be borderline busts in Green Bay. Anthony Campanile got his hands on both of those guys last year as the Packer linebacker coach, and both guys had really good years. Hopefully that lightning can strike again. Can he do with Devin Lloyd here in Jacksonville what he did with Cooper and with Walker in Green Bay? I think there's all sorts of talent for Devin Lloyd. I don't think he's been used right necessarily. I'm about done seeing Devin Lloyd in coverage, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think he's very good against the run. I like to see him get after the passer a little bit more than he has in the previous 3 seasons. So I think there's potential there. And you mentioned Trayvon Walker. 17 guys had double-digit sacks last year. And Trayvon Walker was the second youngest of those 17. Only Will Anderson was younger than him. He's had back-to-back double-digit sack seasons. Locally, we appreciate him. I don't really understand nationally why you say the name Trayvon Walker and he's thought to be a bust.
Because Hutchinson.
Yeah, right. But
Yeah.
I agree. That's probably right. But I guess my point is, if you look at games played, it's a little skewed because of Hutchinson's injury. If you black out the names and you just simply go quarterback sacks, tackles for loss, quarterback hits, it's not as lopsided as you would believe. The one stat Hutchinson has him on pretty good is like rush rate, or one of those new analytic things. I think that's what it's called, pass rush rate. But aside from that one, TFL, sacks, quarterback hits, pretty even numbers between Hutchinson and Walker, which I think a lot of people would be surprised about.
And Trayvon's much better against the run.
Yes.
So I think it's one of those things that it's probably always going to overshadow Trayvon to some extent. But I mean, I don't think I hold out hope that we're 2 or 3 years away from a legitimate which one is better, Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson? Because Hutchinson was more of a refined player when he got to the league. So it wasn't going to take him. Plus, Detroit's had a better plan for him than the Jaguars have had for Trayvon. The Jaguars have struggled to figure out, kind of like with Devin Lloyd, kind of like what we saw with Eric Armstead, kind of like what we've seen with Foye Oluokun, where
notice a pattern here.
Yeah, exactly, where guys get moved around, and it may not be necessarily where they're best at. So I mean, I still hold out hope that by the time we get to these guys being in their late 20s, it's more of a either or, not, oh my God, how could you not have selected Aiden Hutchinson at 1, which is where the national narrative certainly is right now. But no, I'm with you. I think Trayvon Walker's, I still think his best football is, a year or 2 away from occurring. How do you feel about the secondary? I mean, when you look at it, was obviously dreadful last year. They've let Cisco go. what would start with Tyson Campbell? Like, what's your confidence level in Tyson Campbell as a not just a one, but as a good number one corner? Like, does he have that in him?
I think you said it. When he's healthy, he's very good. The problem is, it's not knees and ankles, which is good, but it's soft tissue stuff with him, and it seems to happen a lot. I mean, the hamstring goes in the first game against Miami, and he's out a month. And it's just like, man, here we go again. And you can't fault the guy for that, right? He obviously trains. We see him out there at training camp and the OTAs. I mean, he's putting in the work. It's just unfortunate that he's starting to get that label of a guy that's going to miss 4, 5, or 6 games a year. This is a huge year for Tyson Campbell. I believe when he's out there, he's very, very good. You look at the other corners. I like what I saw to Jarian Jones. Jordan Lewis, everybody in Dallas was really upset that he left, which is probably a good sign. As far as the safety position goes, I don't know if you buy the narrative, or at least the rumor, that they really love Dewey, and there might be something there as far as a starting spot for Dewey. But you and I talked about this. Eric Murray, you assume, is going to be a starter. Why else go bring him in and pay him decent money? And then what do they do at the other safety? Is it Andrew Wingard? Is it Darnell Savage? What's the plan for him? Where does Antonio Johnson fit into all this? A lot of questions at the safety position. And then finally, Hays, after those other 3 corners, I guess Monteric Brown and DeAndre Prince are the other corners that you would say are probably in good standing, at least Monteric Brown to make the roster. But they're going to have to add at least 1 corner in the draft.
Yeah, I agree, without a doubt. When we get it back, we are going to keep it on Jaguars. Our good buddy Michael DeRocco of ESPN, D-Rock, will join us. You are listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell & Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
First Coast living. Always. Jags love it.
Let's go, Jags!
This is the Duval life.
We're Duval to or die, baby.
1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Chevrolet is proud to be an 8-time Chevrolet Dealer of the Year recipient, the only dealership in Northeast Florida to ever win this prestigious award. Earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness, all part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. Visit nimnickchevy.com to learn more. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. I've been buying my vehicles from Nimnick since 1982 because they care about their customers and are invested in our local community, including supporting walk-off charities, and all we're trying to do to help underprivileged kids learn to play baseball. Treating you right, giving back to the community, more choices and better prices for you. So who has put the most years and stands behind a better experience? The answer is simple. Nobody but Nimnick. Visit their showroom off Cassett Avenue or shop 24/7 at nimnickchevy.com. Head to Nimnick today. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Tired of supermarket produce that's traveled thousands of miles before you get it? Treat your family to farm fresh, Florida-grown fruits and veggies delivered right to your home with Doorbell Farms. No supply chain issues or questionable origins, just seasonal produce handpicked from local farmers. Subscribe monthly and enjoy the best local farm produce delivered right to you. Sign up now at doorbellfarms.com, connecting real people to real family farms. Doorbellfarms.com.
Lots of jewelry stores in the town center, but only one is locally owned, Beard's Diamonds.
We're the only local jewelry store at the town center.
That's Jacksonville's John Lupo, owner of Beard's for over 4 decades.
We're entrenched in Jacksonville, Florida.
In a sea of mega chain jewelers, John says it's easy to stand out because he's not handcuffed by a corporate handbook.
I am not beholden to a corporate structure, so we've got flexibility to do whatever we can and want, and we do.
And that includes lowering prices to undercut them every day.
Quality for quality, color for color, everything the same. We should be able to beat them hands down by minimum 20%. We go overseas ourselves. We know exactly what we're buying. This isn't getting marked up in a corporate structure. We will beat anybody's price anywhere.
So before you buy anything at one of those chains, get a second opinion at locally owned Beard's Diamonds. No corporate atmosphere, no corporate rules, no corporate high markups.
We want you to come shop us and you'll see a lot better price here.
Beard's Diamonds.
Everybody gets a good deal at Beard's.
It's time to elevate your game night. Head to Best Bet, your premier destination for poker, card games, and hospitality. With locations in Jacksonville, Orange Park, and St. Augustine, we have a seat ready for you. Whether you're a seasoned poker player or just starting out, we have you covered with poker games of all limits and easy-to-learn games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em. And it's not just poker. With delicious dining, lively bars, and big screen events, there's something for everyone at Best Bet. Visit bestbetjacks.com to learn more. That's bestbetjacks.com and ante up for fun.
Mia here, and let me tell you about one of our area's best resorts, the Sawgrass Marriott Golf Resort and Spa. The Sawgrass Marriott is not only a great destination for a vacation, but it is also a great destination for dining on the Florida's first coast. 1912 Ocean Bar and Rooftop is now open on Ponte Vedra Boulevard, featuring Ponte Vedra's only oceanfront rooftop bar and lounge. Serving finely crafted cocktails and delectable eats, it's open daily from 4 to 10 with complimentary valet parking.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Acai Bowl lovers, April 6th is National Acai Bowl Day. At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Tropic Rewards members can celebrate with $5 off an acai bowl or acai bowl with Nutella. Not a member yet? Join the party by downloading the app and signing up today. Log into your account on April 6th to redeem your offer for $5 off an acai bowl or acai bowl with Nutella. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank is on vacation this week. He'll be back next week. Hacker is here. We've got JJ La Selva. I am Hays Carlyon. We're pleased to be joined with our good friend, Michael DeRocco, D-Rock of ESPN, who does a fantastic job covering the Jaguars. D-Rock, how are you doing?
I'm good, Hayes, Hack. Hey, where's Frank, by the way?
Frank is seeing the Pirates, and then he's heading to San Antonio to see the Gators in the Final Four.
Oh, nice. I hope he comes back with a Texas hat, that just says Texas on it. That'd be kind of cool.
It would be kind of cool. You did something kind of cool today in honor of Val Kilmer. You paid homage to the brilliant actor who unfortunately died last night at the age of 65 with bringing up one of my favorite Val Kilmer movies, Real Genius. I appreciated that. One of the most sarcastic performances that we've ever seen in a comedy, and Val Kilmer delivered. It's one of the best 80s movies in terms of slapstick comedy that's out there.
Oh, yeah, it's one of my favorites. And the prank they play on that one guy and the end of this movie with the popcorn in the house and Tears for Fears. It's like
That's right.
It's every bit of 80s.
Dr. Jerry Hathaway.
Yes, Dr. Hathaway. And the funny thing, like, it took me forever to realize that the guy who played Laszlo is Uncle Rico. The guy who played Uncle Rico, John Grease.
Yeah. who is now
in White Lotus.
In the White Lotus. Yeah, D-Rock texted us a picture of him with the actor from when it was an ESPN like Gardner Minshew thing, right?
Yeah, he came here when Minshew Mania was rolling with Nick Foles. After obviously Foles got hurt and Minshew was going on, so they flew him and the van out here, and they did a fantastic piece on it. And I was lucky enough to get out there and get my picture taken with Uncle Rico.
Yeah, that was very cool. And, he is a pivotal character on The White Lotus, which wraps up its outstanding third season Sunday night. D-Rock, in terms of the Jaguars, what did anything that you took away from Liam Cohen's comments earlier this week at the owners' meetings?
It was just interesting the way they're talking about the free agents that they brought in, and they talked about the offensive line, or he talked about the offensive line. And, I just kind of get the sense that is still going to be a major priority for them, even though they've not completely overhauled, but certainly they've made significant strides in getting that offensive line better and then increasing and adding to the depth. So I don't know where they're going with that number 5 pick, because you can kind of make an argument for a bunch of people, which is I've got a piece running tomorrow that kind of deals with that. So it wouldn't surprise me if they went offensive line with that 5th pick. It wouldn't surprise me if they went any other position. But I just get a sense that we're going to see them really kind of invest even more resources in that offensive line. And I don't think that'll happen at the expense of playmakers, because they've got to get more playmakers too. But I just kind of get the sense from Cohen and the way he talked about Hainsey and the Bucks and last year too, that it's going to be the number one priority. And I think that's a huge, huge sign of kind of where they think this franchise can go relatively quickly.
Mike DeRocco, ESPN.com, with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. D-Rock, every mock draft, or darn near every mock draft that you see on all the major websites, seemingly has Mason Graham coming to Jacksonville. That's the obvious pick, right? But I'm getting to the point as we get closer to this thing, now 3 weeks from tomorrow, that it almost seems like too obvious, right? It's so common to see Mason Graham at 5. And Mike, if we've learned anything over the years, it's like anything that you expect to happen might not happen according to plan. Where are you with the whole Mason Graham thing?
Well, you got to guard this time of year, by the way, against there's just so much time to fill that you start doubting your original thoughts, you know what I mean, and second-guessing yourself. The most logical situation for them to be in is to be sitting at 5 and Mason Graham is available. Travis Hunter's gone. Abdul Carter's gone, and where do you go there? Well, like my piece says tomorrow, you can go a bunch of different ways, but the most logical place to go is Mason Graham, because he's the best defensive tackle, and even though it is a deep class, there's a clear delineation between him and the rest of the guys, and it's a major need. The Jaguars still are not at a position to just go ahead and take the best player available at this point in the first round. They're just not. They still have too many needs that they've got to fill. And it's going to be another 2 or 3 years before I think they can get to that point where they don't have to make a decision to go, well, who's the best player, the highest guy on our board at the major position we need? Because that's what they've got to do. They promised to fix both lines of scrimmage, and they did nothing on the defensive side in free agency. And doesn't look like they are going to be bringing anybody else in either, based on what James Gladstone said before about not wanting to bring any veterans in because you want some rookies to kind of develop and play. So you're going to have to do it in the draft. You're going to have to fix the interior of that defensive line in the draft. They can't sit there and depend on Mason Smith and Jefferson because you don't know what they are. These guys haven't even had them on the field yet. So I just think it's logical and it fits. So I would be surprised if they don't take Mason Graham there. And if they move out of 5, then everything's off. But if they stay at 5, I'd kind of be surprised if they don't take Mason Graham there.
What do you think they do if Travis Hunter is available at 5?
I think we'll see Tony Baselli handsprings just running down the aisle to put the name in. I think that would be their, it's either him, if him or Abdul Carter there at 5. I can't imagine them not sprinting up and just handing that name in, because that would be the fantastic scenario. Either one of those two guys would be unbelievable. And look, there's a chance Hunter could be there. I don't think there's a chance in hell Carter's there, but there is a chance Hunter could be there depending on what the Patriots do. Now, the most logical thing for them, after I just got done talking about logic with the Jaguars, would be to grab Hunter at 4. But if they feel like, hey, you know what, we haven't invested enough in getting Drake May some protection here, we've got to take that offensive tackle. And if Hunter's still sitting there at 5, then like I said, I think they would race up there, throw that name in, and be ecstatic. That would probably be the ideal situation for them.
What do you think the plan would be for Travis Hunter as a Jaguar?
I think both, but more time on defense and with a package of plays on offense. That would give them the outside corner that they don't have. And I know that that's sort of the logical thought is, well, they have Jarian Jones, and he can just move outside. Well, my understanding is they don't view him as just a guy you can just slide outside. He would have to compete to show them, to prove to them that he can be the guy on the outside. They don't just want to slide him out there and go, okay, we're set there. So, but with Hunter, and you draft him, and then you throw him on the other side of Tyson Campbell, then you feel really, really good there. And then as he becomes more comfortable, you get him some more reps on offense, get him out there with BTJ and Diami Brown, and you've got guys that can make big-time plays, which finding more playmakers is another priority for this team.
Mike DiRocco, ESPN.com. D-Rock, I'm sure some of this will be in your piece tomorrow, so don't let too much of the cat out of the bag. But you talk about other ways they could go at number 5, and I want to talk about a couple of guys that maybe we haven't talked enough about. I was talking to Eric Edholm of NFL.com. I actually have him coming on tonight on Hacker After Dark, and admittedly, his second mock, he kind of plays around a little bit, but he had the Jaguars going Tyler Warren at 5. We talked a little bit about him yesterday. Ashton Genty at 5 is another name that's been, pieced around a little bit. But the one I want to really ask you about the most is Jalen Walker out of Georgia. James Gladstone talks about intangibles, right? He doesn't hold a press conference without intangibles or players being intangibly rich to come into the ecosystem. Every time he says that, I'm going to get a quarter. I'm going to make a piggy bank in here, and we're going to have a lot of pennies in it and a quarters in it in no time. Jalen Walker has a lot of those intangibles, man. You talk to anybody in Athens, they'll tell you what a great guy he is. He asked the coaches if he could be a gunner on special teams because the special teams was struggling. He was a captain. There's a lot of things going on right with him that are intangibly rich. What about a guy like that could be off the beaten path at number 5 for the Jaguars?
Yeah, I won't rule it out for sure. And it's, Gladstone has talked about it before, and Cohen, I think, mentioned it the other day. When they're looking at these players, it's more than just the X's and O's and the measurements and all of that. It's, do we want to bring this player into our environment? Do we want to coach this player? Do we think this player will make a difference? And, you look at, I think I was listening to Sean McVay the other day, or this morning or yesterday, whatever day he talked. And he, had a little bitty line in there about Jared Verse, and he mentioned the same thing about, hey, the measurables might not have been there, but, the guy was pretty good. And I think that's kind of the way you could look at Jalen Walker. I don't know where they have their rankings yet. And now they're doing, sort of the way the Rams did it last year or under Les Snead, and they're talking about putting guys in different buckets and all of that. But he was one of the guys in my story that I did mention that it's a possibility. Look, what did they do on the defensive side of the ball other than the secondary in free agency? Nothing. And there isn't anybody here that would sit there and go, what they have at edge rusher is enough. It's not even close to being enough. Would Graham help inside? Yeah, that would probably help those guys outside. But adding somebody on the edge that could rush the passer and then allow Trayvon Walker to kind of slide inside it sometimes, I know that Eric Armstead's going to play back there, but Eric Armstead is a one-year guy, and then he's gone. You're not building for the future with Eric Armstead. So, that could be a scenario where they feel like we didn't do enough. We got to get this guy. He fits the intangible stuff, like you said, and I think it's great because it makes it more fun for us. In the media, what I mean is like you're not looking at them and saying, okay, well, this guy's got X inch arms or his weight is X amount. Like I would be surprised if Trent Baalke, by the way, would consider drafting Mason Graham. Too light, arms aren't as long as you probably would want either. Where you look at the tape and you turn on the tape and you watch him play and you hear what everybody says about him and you go, okay, that guy's a monster. And I think Jalen Walker's the same way.
From purely a player standpoint and what he gives the Jaguars on the field, where do you think Trevor Lawrence is right now in his career?
It's a really good question. I think he's still there's a ton of potential there, but it's got to be consistent. And I think he can get to the level of a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Do I think he can be a top 3 or a top 5? I think he could have stretches where he plays like that, but I don't think there's any reason why he can't be a top 10 quarterback. Now, does he have to stay healthy? Absolutely. Does he have to get better at situational football, which is the things that, we don't really talk about as much with him, but have to be, that's probably his number one priority after the turnovers. And he didn't play great last year, but he did cut down on the turnovers, which is something everybody wanted to see. But he's still got a lot to prove. But when you look at that last half of 22 and that first part of 23, he was among the top 5 rated passers, top 5 completion percentage. He has shown in spurts that he can be elite. He's just got to start doing it consistently. And does he have to do it this year? You would love for him to do it, but, he's in this will be his 5th offense that he's learning since his senior year or since his since his sophomore year at Clemson. There's a lot of stuff rolling around his head. You give him, I don't want to say you give him a break, but you certainly can understand if there's a significant learning curve for him this year. But, man, if things go the way you expect from the Jaguars' perspective, you beef up the offensive line, you go ahead and you add another playmaker on the outside, then there's no reason this kid can't take off in 2026. And if it doesn't happen by 2026, then you have to sit there and go, okay, I don't think we've got the guy.
Mike, as we begin to wrap up, there was a narrative from a lot of people in the city, a lot of people that I know personally, fans and my buddies and whatnot, that this is a retooling, right? This is not a rebuild. That was the narrative a month or two ago, that you get Baalke out of here, you get Doug Peterson out of here, and you bring in the new blood and Liam Cohen and James Gladstone and Tony Baselli. But I get the vibe that some of the fans, at least that I know personally, have now succumbed to the realization that this is maybe closer to a rebuild. When you bring in 10 outside free agents, you don't re-sign any of your own guys. You release Evan Ingram. You trade Christian Kirk. Where are you with that? I mean, are we in the midst of a rebuild here, or can this team compete in 2025?
Well, I think we are in the midst of a rebuild, but they're helped by the fact that this is not a very good division and that the Texans really aren't a runaway winner of this division. Like, they could be a team that makes the playoffs as the division champ in 2025 if things go right. I'm talking about the Jaguars. If Trevor plays really well, they can start running the ball. They get some more pressure. They fix the back end of the defense. Then, yeah, I think they can absolutely win 9-10 games in 2025 and win that division. That could potentially win the division. But it definitely is a rebuild. If you look, and I looked this the other day, the 4 guys that they signed to 3-year deals in free agency, it was Jordan Lewis, Eric Murray, McCarry, and Hainsey, right? I think those 4 guys. The Jaguars have structured those contracts so that if in 2027 they cut them, it's about $10.1 million in dead money and $34.5 million in savings. So those are guys that they view as stopgap guys that we can get in here, that we can play with, that we can solve a few problems and then we have them for enough time that we can go ahead and find their replacements in the draft. So, yeah, I think that they can compete, but I do think it's a significant rebuild that they're going to make through the draft, and I would expect them to have all of their 10 picks, at least all of their 10 picks, maybe even more this year. I wouldn't expect them to trade away picks next year either. I'm thinking, you got to invest a ton of you got to bring in a ton of young guys and get them in here, because you've got to get this roster to a point where you can get rid of those other guys and you can get rid of some of the older aging veterans who aren't performing at the level of their contract.
D-Rock, great stuff, man. We really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you soon. And everybody check out his story posted tomorrow on ESPN.com.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, I believe. Yes.
Awesome. D-Rock, thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Appreciate it, guys. Talk to you.
Yep, sure thing. All right, when we come back on the Frangie Show, we will wrap it up. We covered a lot of ground today. We will reflect on that and peek ahead to End of the Night with Rick Ballou. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action Update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
College basketball, the men's Final Four will be in San Antonio on Saturday, and the Duke Blue Devils, making their 18th appearance, are the betting favorite to win the national title Monday night. They are at even money. The Florida Gators are plus 285, Houston plus 500, and Auburn is at plus 550. The national title game will be on Monday. The women's Final Four will be in Tampa on Friday night. The betting favorite are the UConn Huskies, who knocked off USC Monday in the Elite Eight. They are minus 180. South Carolina, the defending national champions, are plus 230. Texas is plus 800. UCLA also plus 800 to win the national championship. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action Update on 1010XL.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple build. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckrooter.com.
The magical basketball ride continues for Gators fans this weekend, and now you can remember all 34 Gators wins with a full-size Season to Remember basketball for only $149.95, featuring scores of every game along with embossed logos, championship history, and more on panels of the ball. Order now. Get one of only 5,000 licensed balls. Call 800-345-2868, 800-345-2868, or visit nikcosports.com.
This is Hays Carlyon for Harold and Harold. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harold and Harold. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client. When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
All right, it's Ballou. Let's get real for a minute. Losing weight isn't exactly easy, especially when your life involves being surrounded by good food at every event imaginable. Believe me, I get it. But thanks to Awaken 180, I'm already down 10 pounds, feeling sharper, more energized, and never hungry. This isn't some juice diet or starving yourself nonsense. I'm eating food that tastes great, even when I'm out on the road. Here's the beauty. Awaken 180 gives you the game plan to handle real-life situations. I've been hitting plenty of events lately, temptation everywhere, and I've managed to stay on track effortlessly. That's huge. 10 pounds down, energy way up, hunger totally controlled. So if you're tired of carrying around extra weight, tired of diets that don't work, it's time to check out Awaken 180. Take it from me, Hacker, Dempsey, Hayes, basically everyone. It's easy. It works and it's real. Do what we did and choose the solution for weight loss. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
When you hear Florida Gators baseball on 1010XL, it's brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators, and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Get to know positions and players. The 1010XL Ultimate Draft Guide is brought to you by Blue Haven Pools, the #1 pool builder in Jacksonville. Follow rankings and roundtables as the draft takes shape. Go to 1010XL.com/2025 draft guide to get yours.
So, you finally have some time to yourself. Even if it is just the car ride home, it's you time. And look at you. Do not disturb set before you even got in the car? Impressive. You've earned this moment to just chill and drive. This break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
New year, new club. This is Joe C., and I'm proud to be a member of Southampton. And with the popularity of golf, getting a tee time is tough. But with membership comes member privileges. Enjoy clubhouse dining, expanded practice area, focusing on all parts of your game. And right now, you can join with an annual commitment and get a $1,000 discount, plus $500 of Pro Shop credit. All the details are online at golfsouthampton.com or call 287-PLAY and make a tee time today at the Golf Club of Southampton.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, you have told us about buying better quality diamonds, but is there any way to start with a smaller diamond and use it to trade up to a larger diamond later on?
Frank, it's interesting you'd ask that because our founder, H.F. Underwood, popularized growing your diamond here in Jacksonville about 50 years ago, and it's something we still do today. When a customer buys an Underwood engagement ring or solitaire diamond pendant or a pair of ear studs, we guarantee they get the price they paid for it on the purchase of any larger diamond. Now, a lot of stores would say, big deal. We do that too, but here's the Underwood difference. We guarantee you get what you paid when you trade in your Underwood diamond, even if you're trading up by only $1. It's not that you have to trade up 2 for 1 like most jewelers ask. There have been literally thousands of people in the Jacksonville area who have taken advantage of our policy, and Underwood still grows a lot of diamonds for a lot of people.
Underwood's, serving excellence since 1928. In San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra. Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
E to the T here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, we covered a lot of ground today. We opened up by talking about the Jaguars' offensive line, and again, Hacker, I think when you look at it, that pick number 5 could absolutely be a left tackle, in my opinion, if the board falls a certain way. If Travis Hunter is there, you pick Travis Hunter. And if Mason Graham ends up being the selection, that's a good pick. That's not a bad pick. But I do think left tackle is very much in play at 5 for the Jaguars.
No, I agree. And again, it's rumor season, so who knows what to believe, what not to believe. But Adam Schefter had a report earlier this afternoon on one of the ESPN shows where, as it stands right now, he does not believe Cleveland or New York is going to draft a quarterback, which obviously means probably Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, 2-3 in that scenario. He also said that if the draft were today, he believes Will Campbell might be the pick for New England at 4. So if that's the case, then Mason Graham would be there at 5 for Jacksonville. But again, there's other aspects to consider. But I thought it was interesting that Schefter kind of went public with that information.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really interesting, and we'll break that down on tomorrow's Frangie Show as well, in terms of looking at what that would look like, the path the Jaguars could take if just Cam Ward goes and we don't see Shedeur Sanders. Wouldn't it be something if like Jackson Dart ends up getting selected before Shedeur Sanders? But we'll see. We still have a couple weeks before we get to that. Mark Long joined us from the Associated Press to talk Gators and some Jaguars. But the big really comment from Mark was he is not confident that DJ Lagway has, basically that the shoulder is a non-issue. He definitely raised some flags about Lagway even potentially needing surgery at some point beyond this season. So something that we'll continue to monitor. And then Michael DeRocco, D-Rock of ESPN, joined us to break down a bunch of different topics regarding the Jaguars. He's got a story that comes out tomorrow morning about the Jaguars' different paths with the 5th pick. So that'll be a lot of fun to break down as well. So yeah, covered a lot of ground today. And boy, Gator fans, that DJ Lagway thing, that's dicey.
It makes you think a little bit, no question. And again, Mark, not afraid to put it out there,
Right.
said he's been told that Lagway is going to need shoulder surgery at some point. Again, who told him that? I don't know. But Mark obviously knows a lot of people in Gainesville, so we'll see what happens there. And maybe it's been a blessing in disguise for the football team because they've been on the back burner because of what Todd Golden and the basketball team are doing. Everybody's talking about the hardwood and the Final Four. So this Lagway story hasn't gotten the legs that it probably normally would. It's been a little under the radar. We'll see if anything materializes out of it in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah. What's your confidence level right now, Florida-Auburn? We'll start to really break it down over the next 2 days as the game gets closer. But just as we sit, 72 hours out?
Yeah. I got to be honest with you, man.
You think Auburn?
I'm not confident.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not confident. I want to be. I want to get there. It's all about getting there. That's the end goal always, and it's always exciting to get there. But I'm not there yet just because of the way Florida has looked against UConn and Texas Tech. You cannot play against UConn and Texas Tech the way you did and expect to beat Auburn. Auburn's going to have a motivating factor because you beat them already in their home gymnasium. They're going to want revenge. They're playing some of their best ball of the year. They just wiped the floor with Michigan State, who was a very good basketball team. Florida's got to find what they had in Nashville because what they've had to get to the Final Four, which is good, was not as good as what they had in Nashville.
Iron Man, give us a sneak peek. Hacker After Dark, what do you have coming up?
Hacker After Dark, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. With Eric Edholm, NFL.com. We'll stop by. Also, Bill Bender of the Sporting News, talking a little Final Four. We'll have you from 8 to 10 this evening.
Awesome, Hacker. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Hays.
All right, let's do this.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. Near your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Val Kilmer passing away. Did that one grab you at all?
I guess he's had some health issues, but 65, way too young.
Way too young. You have a favorite performance?
Several. I love him as Morrison.
Yeah.
I love The Doors. I love him as John Holmes in Wonderland.
Yeah, great movie.
He plays Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy's resume is absolutely spectacular. I saw most mentioning Top Gun, but he was kind of a small character in that movie. That was a cruise movie.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever see?
I loved Heat. Not a huge role. It was Pacino and De Niro, but his role in Heat, I thought was great.
Did you ever see Kilmer's early '80s comedies, Top Secret or Real Genius?
I believe I've seen Real Genius. I don't know if I've seen Top Secret.
Top Secret is almost like Airplane. In fact, it's the same people that did Airplane. It's
Go
like
back
a
and watch it.
It's good. It's like his first ever movie, but it's well done. It's sort of a hidden gem. Very light, 80-minute, lots of belly laughs kind of comedy.
Too many people dying.
I know. It's really sad. What's going on? You got an early thought on the Final Four? Who we're going to see Monday night?
I still think it's the Gators. I do. I just can't get past the fact that when they're down and they're out, they find a way, and that's what great teams do. I mean, you can go back 25 years. Look at that Duke team. They found a way on that last second shot. I mean, that's kind of the way Florida won that game. If you look at the final score, it's probably not telling, but what they did just blew me away. So I know Duke's a favorite. If they ends up being that matchup on Monday night. But, I picked Duke originally, but right now I'd have to lean towards Florida.
Interesting. What's coming up on Into the Night?
We got a bunch coming up tonight. Jeff Kerr is going to join us. Wrote something interesting yesterday about the 18-game schedule, and, I think it's just a matter of time. You got to get it collectively bargained, which runs through 2030, but you can always come in and add a one topic or one issue and find a way to pay the players and make them happy. But so we're going to do that with him. He also wrote something interesting that I thought about a week and a half ago, is that he put pressure on 5 quarterbacks who need to win a Super Bowl now. Trevor Lawrence nowhere near the list.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask him what I think is the biggest question of the offseason with the Jaguars. How do you get rid of the feeling around here where losing was okay? Last year's team, losing was okay. The best example of that ever was Josh Hines-Allen, what he said to me in Philadelphia after that gutty game where no one thought they'd win, but it almost felt high schoolish. It did, like we were handing out trophies for participation. So I want to get a national media's opinion on why he believes that is the case and what he thinks the Jaguars need to do to get rid of that cloud of accepting losing. It's awful.
It is awful.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
You can't accept losing at this level.
And it's happened way too long here.
Right, and hopefully the new brass is aware of that. That's why they're not re-signing any unrestricted free agents and getting rid of all these players, because you're in the locker room all the time. They were so comfortable with losing, it was nauseating to cover.
It really was. Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. We'll be listening Into the Night with Rick Ballou coming up next. For Hacker, for JJ, for the vacationing Frank Frangie, I am Hays Carlyon. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. Into the Night with Rick Ballou is up next. You're listening to 1010XL, 92.5 FM.